You need to go through the field report process first. I don't think at any point the field report should stop ever. They don't. Even me. I talk about field reports to you guys. You know, I don't think the field report should ever stop, ever. But the more and more you do the field reports and the more you correct the field report, the easier it's going to be to recognize the pattern in real time and cut it. So if you go back and analyze the interaction and you're like, wow, it was very boring and platonic and interviewee, and I said this question, and I said this question, I said this question. In the field report, you should be writing, instead of saying this question, I should have said this question, or I should have made this, I could have turned this question into a statement if I would have said this. I could have turned this question into a cold read or an assumption about the person if I said this, because I said, are you a native from Boston? I really should have said, you're definitely not a native from Boston. Like, I could just tell by the way you talk, because typically when you're from Boston, and you say something about the accent and you exaggerate the story, you'll start to learn funny stories that you could say that make people laugh. I have a bunch of little one-liners that I know are funny. I've used them on so many people. I just know how to say it, what the delivery is, and it works on like at least 90% of people, right? So I have a bunch of these dumb little one-liners. They're just like little tools that you could use in certain situations. Like if someone was asking me like, oh, what time is it? I'm like, oh, it's almost midnight. Or if there's something about midnight, or if there's something about what time it is, or if there's something, the conversational topic about me being a good boy or me being an asshole, I guess it's called a gambit. I think that's what the old pickup terminology would call it. A gambit is like a routine, so to speak. I used to have this joke. It was something along the lines of like, I'm usually a good boy until like after midnight. That's when the horns come out. All right. And I'll even like do something like this. I'll say it in a way that's funny, that resonates with the girl. And before I even do this, I was like, I'm talking about the horn on my head, not down there, you fucking pervert. And that usually hits really well because like girls are just fucking perverted and they think about my cock when I say horn, right? So I don't know. I just have like a bunch of these dumb little one-liners that I could always like bring out typically. So the way you're going to learn those things though is just by going into interactions, writing down funny things that were said, writing down flirty things that were said, writing down interview questions that you said, and correcting those things and analyzing them over and over and over. You're going to start to learn repeated patterns, conversational topics and threads that you could have been saying something better. So the next time you're in that interaction and you say that question and you remember it was a bad question, or you remember there was something about that conversational topic that you can steer the conversation towards a funnier thread. If it's about time, I know in my mind, just to give you that one example, I know if I could steer it about time, I could bring up midnight, and after midnight, that's when the horns come out. Or if we're talking about I'm an asshole, I can turn that into, no, I'm actually like a good boy. Honestly, I'm like really scared, shy, polite dude. I'm honestly like, I'm a fucking saint. Like until after midnight, that's usually when the horns come out. Or if we're talking about unicorns or we're talking about some shit like that, I'll be like, unicorn, I have a horn too, or I have horns too. Anything that's somewhat related to that conversational thread, I can find a way to steer the conversation that way. And that's just for that one topic, right? I have 1,000 of these things. I have 1,000 of these little tools because I've been in thousands of interactions. I've analyzed all the interactions, so I know what works well on certain girls. When were the times where I said something where it was too over the top, and like the calibration dial is just like very, very, very fine tuned to a point now where like I know what I can say, what I can get away with, what's going to be funny to this kind of a girl, what's going to be somewhat insultive, where's the threshold of me being an asshole, how I can dance on that border of that threshold, all of these things. So you have to keep doing it, and and analyzing it from the field reports, and over time you're going to start to cultivate a better understanding of what to say, where to bring the thread, what questions to avoid. Or maybe you said a question and that triggers the idea to start to steer away from that idea later on. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And by the way, if you want to work with me personally to implement any of the techniques in this video to become more socially confident, get more women in your life, build a bigger social circle, and really just dominate life in any aspect socially, I can help you with that. I'm the guy for that, okay? Been doing this for a long time. I've transformed myself, going from a video game nerd loser to becoming one of the top guys in the industry with this stuff, okay? So if you're interested in working with me personally, click the link below, click the link in the description, Fill out the application, and we will be contacting you to discuss further details. Until next time, Coach Kyle signing out. Peace.